The scent of pine needles and damp earth was Silas Thorne's personal bomb, a stark contrast to the manicured, sterile uniformity of the Legacy Oaks Homeowners Association that sprawled just beyond his property line. His 2 acres were a defiant island of wilderness and cutting-edge technology, a deliberate rejection of Legacy Oaks' oppressive, aesthetic zeal. He was an anomaly, a digital ghost in the machine, and Karen Blackwood, Legacy Oaks' perpetually sun-kissed, iron-fisted president, absolutely loathed him for it. Silas, a retired cybersecurity architect with more patents than patience for bureaucracy, had built his sanctuary from the ground up. His home wasn't just smart, it was a fortress, humming with unseen power. The walls, at first glance unassuming concrete, were reinforced with a proprietary ceramic composite bulletproof, because why not? And his security system, anchored by Echo, an AI far more advanced than anything on the commercial market, was legendary in his small, reclusive circle. Echo interfaced with every sensor, speaker, and camera on the property, particularly the trail cams. Silas had modified them himself, bypassing their limited fields of view, rewiring them to transmit a continuous, high-definition, 360-degree feed, allowing Echo to map and monitor every single square inch of his heavily forested land with unsettling precision. The harassment had begun subtly, a gentle hum of discontent that escalated into a persistent, grating drone. Fines arrived weekly, violation of tree canopy ordinance unapproved, exterior palette natural earth tones deemed non-compliant, excessive wildlife presence deer grazing. Silas simply filed them away, occasionally sending back meticulously sourced geological surveys or ecological impact statements proving the absurdity of their claims. Karen, however, thrived on control, and Silas was a loose thread she couldn't snip. Then came the drilling. Ostensibly a community energy initiative to tap into a supposed natural gas reserve beneath Legacy Oaks, the operation seemed to grow exponentially. Heavy equipment rumbled day and night, concealed behind hastily erected sound barriers and privacy fences within the OA's pristine grounds. Silas's modified trail cams, extending deep into the bordering forest, often picked up unexplained activity, large, unmarked vans entering and exiting covertly at odd hours, their equipment shrouded. Echo, ever vigilant, noticed the distinct, petroleum-like odor carried on the wind, a smell far more potent than natural gas. It catalogued the strange, dark residue that sometimes leaked from their pipes, pooling on the ground before disappearing. Silas had a hunch, a very bad feeling about what exactly they were extracting. "Sir, an unscheduled vehicle convoy breached the perimeter at 2:17 hours, heading towards Section Gamma. Visual confirms 3 vans, 1 tanker truck." Echo's calm, synthesized voice would report, projecting holographic schematics of the forest onto Silas's workbench. Legacy Oaks claimed it was community development, but Silas's data painted a different picture, a high-volume industrial operation, suspiciously unregulated, running right under Karen's nose. And Karen, with her perfectly coiffed blonde hair and venomous smile, was clearly profiting. The harassment escalated, becoming more personal, aggressive. His power lines were inexplicably cut, his well water contaminated with a harmless but unpleasant dye, his driveway peppered with construction debris. He logged it all, gathering undeniable digital evidence. Silas had warned them, through formal letters and cease and desist orders, that he was watching. His patience, however, was finite. The boiling point arrived when a group of Karen's handlers, burly men in unmarked SUVs, more suited to a private security firm than an OA maintenance crew, attempted to fell several of Silas's century-old oaks, claiming they were encroaching on OA common property. Echo's alert blared, a deep warning tone that vibrated through the house. Silas met them at his property line, not with a shotgun, but with a tablet. "Gentlemen, your employer has made a grave miscalculation," Silas stated, his voice calm, projecting confidence. "This boundary has been surveyed by independent third parties, verified down to the millimeter. And everything you've done, the fines, the trespassing, the attempts at sabotage, has been meticulously documented." He swiped his tablet, projecting a high-resolution topo map onto a drone hovering above them. It highlighted his property line, then zoomed in on the drilling operation within Legacy Oaks. Then came the damning data, geochemical analysis from samples Echo had covertly collected, environmental impact assessments, and a full financial flowchart, tracing the energy initiative funds through various shell corporations directly back to Karen's offshore accounts. The natural gas was, in reality, a crude, viscous substance that Silas's analysis confirmed, was a highly toxic industrial waste byproduct, disguised as a profitable resource. Karen hadn't bothered with proper testing or disposal, she was selling poison. "This isn't natural gas, gentlemen," Silas announced, his voice carrying clearly over the hum of the drone. "It's industrial runoff. Toxic, illegal, and highly flammable." A tremor of unease ran through the handlers. They looked from the drone to Silas, then back to their lead enforcer, a hulking man named Brick with a permanent scowl. Just then, Karen's sleek black SUV squealed to a halt, tires kicking up gravel. Karen herself, radiating fury, stormed out. "What is the meaning of this, Thorne? Are you threatening my men?" "No, Karen," Silas replied, his eyes cold. "I'm exposing you. This isn't just about my property anymore. This is a massive environmental crime, a fraud on your unsuspecting buyers, and a public health hazard." He gestured to the drone. "The data is already queued for public release. And I have every single one of your drilling sites, your equipment, your covert routes, all of it documented." Karen's face, usually a mask of haughty indignation, visibly paled. Her eyes darted from Silas to Brick, then to the dense forest. "No," she whispered, a desperate realization dawning. She knew Silas was capable of anything, and his data was too precise. She had underestimated him. The jig was up. "Get out of here!" She shrieked at her men, a desperate command. "Burn it all. Now!" Brick, a man of action, didn't hesitate. He yelled an order at his crew. As some handlers turned towards their vehicles, others, under Brick's direct command, drew their weapons, aiming at Silas. "Echo, defensive protocol, full lockdown." Silas snapped, dropping his tablet and ducking behind a massive oak. Before the first shot could truly register, Echo's automated defenses sprang to life. High-pitched sonic repellents disoriented the handlers. A blinding strobe light system, integrated into the tree line, flickered erratically. The air filled with the whir of miniature drones, zipping through the trees, creating a chaotic, distracting swarm. Karen, seizing the moment of confusion, scrambled back into her SUV. Her driver, a terrified young man, floored it, peeling away down the dirt road and disappearing into the distance. She was out of dodge, fast. The handlers, well-trained but now disoriented and facing an unseen adversary, opened fire. Rounds impacted against Silas's bulletproof house with dull thuds. He had retreated inside, Echo providing real-time, tactical overlays on his internal monitors. Target 1, 15 meters, moving left. Target 2, 25 meters, stationary behind pine. Warning, Molotov cocktail detected. Echo's voice was utterly devoid of emotion, yet perfectly urgent. Silas, armed with non-lethal, but highly effective tasers, moved with uncanny speed, guided by Echo's directives. He wasn't trying to kill them, just incapacitate. The shootout was short, brutal, and utterly one-sided. The handlers, caught between Silas's unseen defenses and the need to follow Karen's last, desperate order, were quickly overwhelmed. As Silas subdued the last handler, a roar of fire erupted from within Legacy Oaks. Thick, black smoke plumed skyward. Karen's handlers had followed her command, torching the structures that housed the drilling operations, destroying evidence, creating a massive inferno that would engulf several OA homes. They then piled into their remaining vans, tearing through a pre-planned escape route through the forest, a route Silas's cameras also captured, every tire track, every face meticulously logged. Emergency services, alerted by the fires and the distant reports of gunfire, finally arrived, sirens wailing. Silas, calm and collected, emerged from his home, handing over hard drives filled with forensic data and video evidence. He explained everything, from the years of harassment to the illegal drilling and the true nature of the oil. The authorities had a massive environmental disaster on their hands, and a potential criminal enterprise to unravel. Karen Blackwood, however, was gone, vanished into the ether, her numerous legal and not-so-legal connections greasing her escape. Weeks turned into a month. The fires were out, the damage assessed. Legacy Oaks was in disarray, its image shattered. Karen was a ghost, an untraceable phantom. It seemed she had gotten away scot-free, her corruption a shield against justice. Then, the first reports surfaced. Distant, then increasingly urgent. The buyers of Legacy Oaks' revolutionary new energy source were complaining. Their machinery was seizing up. Their heating systems were corroding. Their vehicles were spewing black, acrid smoke. Samples were sent for independent analysis. The results, when they came in, were catastrophic. The oil Karen had pumped and sold wasn't crude petroleum. It was a highly corrosive, toxic industrial waste, sludge from some forgotten chemical process. It looked like oil, had a similar consistency, and because Karen, in her greed, had skipped every conceivable safety and testing protocol, she had dumped literal poison onto the market. Suddenly, Karen wasn't just facing the local authorities. The Environmental Protection Agency was calling for her head. Worse, the powerful, well-connected corporations and individuals who had purchased her oil were not just demanding their money back, they wanted blood. They had lost millions, their reputations were sullied, and their equipment was ruined. They were lawyers, yes, but they were also the kind of people who preferred to settle scores in ways that transcended the courtroom. Karen Blackwood, the woman who had always been able to use her connections and corruption to dance through raindrops, found herself caught in a vice. On one side, the relentless, impersonal machinery of the law, building a case for massive fraud, environmental devastation, and public endangerment. On the other, a furious, vengeful legion of powerful clients, demanding restitution by any means necessary. Her escape had been temporary, her immunity conditional. And now, the true cost of her ambition was coming due. From his fortified home, surrounded by the enduring forest, Silas Thorne watched the news reports. Echo projected the headlines onto his living room wall, a grim, ironic collage of Karen's crumbling empire. He remained unbothered, his security systems vigilant, his peace restored. The forest had protected him, and his technology had ensured justice, in its own circuitous way, would find its mark.